Are you thinking of relocating to the UK? Or maybe you're a single parent and you're thinking of relocating to the UK, but you keep hearing very scary stuff about childcare costs in the UK, childcare options in the UK, and it's really confusing, right?
The cost of childcare was basically the same as how much I was going to be bringing home.
The question is it worth working full time when actually I'll just be working to pay someone to be looking after my child?
Well, in today's video, I'm going to show you all the childcare options available in the UK, especially for immigrants, okay? And I'm going to show you the pros and cons of each childcare option, and I'm going to show you how much they cost. I'll actually arrange them according to how much they cost, but I'll start from the most expensive ones first. And also let you know which childcare option that I use personally. And before I do this, I'll have to lay down some facts about the UK schooling system, childcare rules, or the laws governing childcare and leaving your child home and all that. I'll just, briefly explain some of these things to you so that you understand it better. And then I'll head over to the options, their prices, and the pros and cons for each option available. So if you're interested, stay tuned. So I never thought I would actually do this video, but here I am now, a mom to a sweet one-year-old boy. I've started looking into childcare options myself, and I've had a couple of people ask me the best childcare option as well. So today I have done my research personally and also from my knowledge being an immigrant in the UK for 4 years now. My name is Nanelle Griselda. I'm a Ghanaian trained nurse currently practicing in the UK. On this channel, I usually talk about opportunities for people to migrate to the UK, and also I talk about life in the UK in general. So if these are topics that interest you in any way, please consider subscribing. And if you like my hair, by the way, this wig is from Glam by Fit on Instagram. Guess what? The wig is called Wig Griselda. Yes, it was named after me. It was specially made for me, custom made, and it's called Wig Griselda. I'll leave a link in the description so you can head over to Glam by Fit on Instagram and order your wig. They ship worldwide. Even if you're under the sea, they'll send it to you, okay? Short closure wig. It doesn't need much styling. It's really cool. It's really lovely, and I think you should order one, okay? Thank you, Glam by Fit, for sending me this wig. Let me lay down the facts. First of all, the UK law does not state exactly at what age you can leave your children in the house. No, it doesn't. But it says that it's an offense to leave your child in the house if you know it's going to put them at risk. So they gave some guidelines. 1, children under the age of 12 are not supposed to be left alone for long periods of time. 2, babies, toddlers, and young children are not supposed to be left alone at any point in time. They're not even supposed to be left alone in a car when you want to grab something fast from the shop like we've been doing in Africa. No, it is not allowed. You're not supposed to leave them. 3, children under the age of 16 should not be left alone overnight, okay? So when you're coming with your kids, it's not an issue. The main issue is with the age of the kids. So let's say you're coming and you have a 13-year-old and a 15-year-old. You don't have a problem, my sister. You don't have a problem, my brother. So you don't have a problem at all, because with their ages, it looks like you can leave them in their house on their own if it's not going to put them at risk for long periods of time. Just that if they're below 16, you cannot leave them alone overnight, okay? So let's say you do 9 to 5. And kids are 13 and 15, you're good to go. Let's say you're a nurse and you work 8 to 8 and your kids are 13 and let's say 15. So far as you're staying with them at night, that's okay. You don't have a problem at all. But the problem actually comes if they are much younger than that. And bear in mind that in the UK here, your neighbors can be quite inquisitive. And if they notice that you're leaving your young kids, there are so many instances where neighbors actually reported people for leaving their young kids at home by themselves. And if you are caught doing this, know that you can be persecuted and also your kids can be taken away from you. And trust me, this happens quite a lot. You don't want to travel all the way from your country to be prosecuted for leaving your child at home or for your kids to be taken away from you. So that's why it's very critical that you look at all these things and then you decide even before you come to the UK, or if you're already in the UK and you're expecting babies soon as an immigrant, look at all these things and then decide which one is best for you. Another thing that I also have to point out is the fact that as immigrants, until you get your permanent residency, you're not eligible for public funds, which include some child benefits, okay? So whereas some British citizens and people living in the UK that have their passports and a permanent residence can, get some funding here and there to help them and some, child benefits here and there. Nope. If you're coming on a tier 2 visa or as a dependent, you are not eligible for child benefits and public funds until you get your permanent residency or your citizenship. So you also have to bear that in mind. So you have to know all these things so that you know how to plan your day and your life as parents. And let's say you have a much younger child and you have like an older child, like say 16 years, and you want to leave the younger child in the care of the older child. There are rules governing that as well, according to the government of UK. If your child is under 16, you cannot leave a younger child in their care. You cannot leave a younger child in their care. And even if they're above 16, you should also let them know what they can do for the child, and they also have to be taught how to, request for emergency services, blah blah blah. And generally the child should be somebody that is matured enough to take care of the younger child. And remember, this should be during the day and not overnight. So now that you've seen all these things, let me also tell you a bit about the time school closes and the time school starts. So they say schooling is free in the UK, but full-time free school starts only when the child is like 4 years old. It starts the September after the child turns 4. Okay, in another video, I'll talk about the school structure of the UK. But generally, the September after the child turns 4, then they can start full-time free schooling. Okay, and there's full-time free schooling for 4-year-olds and above. It usually starts around, let's say, 8:30, 8:55 or 9, and then they close at 3 p.m. So then again, if your job starts at 8 to 5, you see where the issue is. Especially if you're a single parent, you see where the issue is. There are some things that you can do, but I'll come to them later. So if your child is generally below the age of 4, say between 3 years and then 4 years, for that one, the school is not free and it's not full time. Okay, for that one, the government gives each child about 15 hours per week free of charge. Okay, some citizens can claim more than 15 hours per week, but as immigrants that are not, allowed public funds, usually is 15 hours per week. This 15 hours per week, usually your child can either go for the afternoon session or the morning session. The morning session starts around 9 and it closes at 12, and the afternoon session is from 12 to 3. So then again, it's just 3 hours. It's just 3 hours and it's free. And if you want your child to stay in school longer than that, there's an amount that you have to pay. And this is based on the school and based on the city that you're living. So for the 15 hours per week that your child has, if they are like 3 to 4 years old, that's before they start the free full-time school. You can either let your child go Monday to Friday, 3 hours each, and then it's okay for the 15 hours, or some people will let a child go, let's say 5 hours each day for 3 days and then pay extra for the other days. It depends. You just arrange how you want your 15 hours should be shared amongst the week, okay? And which option best suits you and your schedule as a worker. So let's say you're a single mother, you have a 3-year-old and your child is going 9 to 12 every day, and let's say you're a nurse and you're working 8 to 8. You see where the problem is. That means you need somebody to take care of the child from 8 to 9 before they go, and after they close at 12, you need somebody to take care of the child from 12 to 8 until you close from work. Okay, that's if you're a single parent. If you have your partner around, you also know how to balance and then schedule your rota so that you'll be able to pick the child from school. Because also the difference in the ages of your kids can also be an issue. So let's say you have a much younger child who's like 3 years, and then you have an older child who's like, let's say 7 years. So the 3-year-old is doing the part-time, the 15 hours thing that I just spoke about, and then the 7-year-old is doing the full-time free tuition, and that one, like I said, they start around 8 or between 8 and 9, and then they close at 3 p.m. Meanwhile, the younger one who's like 3 and doing the free 15 hours, if you are not willing to pay extra, that means they are going to leave the house around, let's say 9. They're going to go to school around 9 and close at 12, okay, or 12 and close at 3. And this is what Adama was sharing. I interviewed a lady, Adama, who was in a similar situation, and then this is what she had to say. So listen to it for yourself.
I've got 2 kids.
Yes.
It's 6 and a 3. 2 boys. One is 6, one is 3.
Okay.
So the one for 6 closes school at 2 o'clock, 2 p.m.
Okay.
While the one that is 3 closes at 12 p.m. So if I'm to take them to school in the morning by, let's say 9, and then I hurry back home and trying to have breakfast and I try to get a little nap just for 2 hours, I'm up by 11 o'clock just so I don't miss his closing time. Then I can walk down to the school. It's actually a stone throw from my house. pick him up, come back to the house. I start prepping for lunch, I start prepping for the next day, I start prepping stuff just before it's 2 o'clock. Then I have to go for another school run to pick the other boy back. When he comes back, they have lunch, you still have homework to do.
So you see where the issue is. You now have to go and pick the younger one at around 12, come back and go and pick the older one around 3. You see where the issue is. Guys, take your pen, take your notebook, and write all these things down. So there's something called breakfast club and something called after school club. Okay, so with the breakfast club, what they do is that they provide very healthy breakfast for parents that have to leave to work earlier than their normal school starting time. So let's say for nurses, let's say if you have to leave around 7 and your child starts school at 9, there's something called breakfast club for your child, where you take your child and then you pay. I hear some schools it's free, and then they'll give your child breakfast, and they obviously sort of like caring for the child or taking care of the child from that period until their first class starts, okay, until school actually begins. And there's also something called after school programs, and it also depends on where the school is, like the city you're living in, and then the school as well. And I asked Priscilla, she also has 2 kids, and then for her school, the kids were supposed to pay about £7.90 per session. Okay, Priscilla is in England, for those wondering, she's somewhere in England. And when I asked Adama as well how much she pays for the breakfast club and after school club, she says she pays around £2.50 per week for Northern Ireland. I mean, you guys know Northern Ireland, everything is affordable. So all these prices also depends on where exactly you live in the UK. The after school club is like from 2 to 5. For Adama, she says she pays around £5 each day. You understand? So it also depends. So you can strike an average and see how much you're going to spend. But just to let you know that there are some options for breakfast club. That's if you're going to leave for work very early. And then there's an option for after school club. But the after school clubs, they still will not, sometimes it's up to 5 p.m, sometimes it's up to 6 p.m. So if you are closing work at 8 p.m, you still need somebody to take care of the child between that 5 p.m and 8 p.m, or between that 6 p.m and 8 p.m, you understand? But at least you have them catered for by like a trusted organization for that period after school. So these are all the things that you have to really sit down and consider. Okay, another good thing is that with the after school club, obviously your child will have some schoolmates or colleagues to play with, and then they take that opportunity to learn some activities, learn some new skills and all that, which can be great for your child as well. So that's like the pros of it as well. But the con is that, or the negative part is that they usually close around 5 or 6 p.m, and so you still need somebody to take care of your child after that 6 p.m or after that 5 p.m if you're going to close later than that. You understand?
Even when you feel low, you can still go.
There are like 4 major childcare options available, right? And I'm going to start listing them from the most expensive ones to the least expensive ones, okay? And I'm also going to share the type that I use personally with my family, and I'll give the pros and cons of each type, like I said earlier. And these are for when the child is on vacation or when they close from school and you need somebody to take care of them. I've already explained the issue with the time they close and the options available that the schools can help you with. After the 4, I'm going to give you about 3 or 4 other options available that are not really part of the 4 major ones, okay? So let me start with number 4. So number 4, that's the most expensive, I'll say, are the nannies, okay? A nanny is somebody that you employ to take care of your child in your own home. So they can either live in with you or they'll come and go, okay? But it's like you are employing this person to take care of your child in their own home. So the good thing is that the child will still be in the comfort of their own home, like their own home. That's the good part. But nannies are expensive. Averagely across the UK, averagely you expect to pay around £240 to £400 per week. Because you are like the employer of this person, this nanny, you're supposed to pay the pension of the nanny as well, between £240 to £400 per week. So let's say £300. So that means in a month, that's like £1,200. If you're working in the NHS, you're coming home with around 1,072,000 as a lower band 5 nurse. Tell me, did you come all the way to the UK to pay a nanny? So that is not the best option for most people, unless your job is, I mean, you're getting maybe 10,000 a month or something, and it's not an issue for you. When the nannies are ill, you now have to look for another option, and it's also quite expensive generally to employ a nanny. So number 3 will be like a live-in carer or an au pair. So the live-in carers, they're a bit less expensive than the nannies. These ones, like they say on the internet, they say you're giving them pocket money. They kind of like live in with you in your home. So you have to think about, their accommodation as well. So if you're thinking of going for a 3-bedroom, if you are thinking of employing a living carer or an au pair, you now have to go for a 4-bedroom because they need to have their space as well. And don't forget, they'll be using the utilities in the house as well. And you give them approximately, averagely, when you check online, it's like you're going to pay a living carer about 70 to 100 pounds per week. Living carers are treated as like part of your family, and usually what I've realized is that usually sometimes they are immigrants as well. It's like they are people that are coming here to learn the language and the culture, and you know, so that is it. But they are treated like parts of the family, so you don't have to pay their NI or their tax or whatever like the nannies, you understand? So that's what makes their own a bit cheaper. So that comes in as number 3. Then let's talk about number 2. So number 2 is using a registered childminder. So registered childminders are like self-employed individuals, okay? They are in their own home, okay? They've gone through training, they are in their own home, and the government allows them to take care of other people's kids, okay? So they have toys, they have, you know, other kids coming to them. So you would have to send your child to their house. So you can check online for registered childminders near me. And for Northern Ireland, I hear like you're going to pay like, let's say £4 an hour or £5 an hour, but generally you're going to pay around between £4 to £6 an hour for each child. So if you have 2 kids, you're paying around, let's say £8 or £9 per hour for each child. The child is going to be in a homely environment, and the good thing is that there are a specific number of kids that childminders can cater for, so they don't always have a spot. However, that means that let's say one childminder is taking care of 6 kids or 7 kids, so they have enough time to take care of each kid properly, okay? And some are very, very good. They engage the kids, they play with the kids, they sing with them, and you can have different age groups there as well. The negative thing about these registered childminders is that some of them close at 5, some of them close at 6. However, you can actually also arrange with them to take your child to school. You can actually arrange with some of them to pick your child from school and keep them until, you know, after school. And sometimes you can actually arrange with them to, let's say your child will stay a bit longer than usual. So it depends on what your childminder is willing to accept or is willing to sacrifice. Are they going to take care of your child for extra 2 hours or extra 3 hours? Are they willing to take your child from school on your behalf and all that? It's actually a very, very good option, and it's one of the cheapest so far. With this one, you don't have to pay for their pension or whatever because they are self-employed, you understand, and you are taking the child to their homes. If the childminder decides to go on holiday to Spain or Dubai, now you'd have to think of another option. Or if the childminder says I'm ill, you now have to look for another option. So that would be like the con, you understand, or the negative part of this. And number 1 is using family and friends. Obviously, that's going to be the cheapest. So when it comes to using family and friends, there are several options under that particular one. So let me start with what I use. Okay, my husband and I, we've decided that our kid or RJ is still very too young to let somebody else take care of him. You know, we want to be assured that he's being taken care of well. You know, to me, I think most of the time, there's no better person to take care of your child than yourself, the parent. So that's what we have decided now. So what we do is we have reduced our hours at work. I used to work 39 hours per my contract per week. And personally, even when I was pregnant, sometimes I was doing 44 hours per week. When I was not pregnant, I could do 66 hours per week. Now I do only 33 hours a week, and I'm going to do another video where I talk about how much I'm earning now that I'm doing only 30 hours a week, and that's just because of childcare. So what we do is we've reduced our hours at work, and in the UK, employers are very, very understanding. Immediately mention childcare, because even with the locals, they also know how tough it is, you know, childcare, because everybody has to go to work. Even 60-year-olds are going to work, so that there's nobody to give the child to, you understand? And so they understand and they make things flexible. I told my company that I couldn't do the 39 hours again because so I'm switching jobs to another place that's going to give me 33 hours, and they quickly reduced my working hours to 33 hours to make it okay for me. So now I do mostly 3 days each week, and my husband also does mostly 3 days each week. So we have 1 day off. For like today that I'm filming, we are both off, and days that he works, I'm off, and days that I work, he's off. But sometimes what you can do is that if the time will not collide or the time will not enter into each other, I don't know if you understand, then one person will do day shifts and the other person will do night shifts. Okay, so that is sharing if you have a partner. And for those that do not have partners, for single parents, what you can also do is that sometimes they have friends. Okay, so some friends come together, let's say in a church or in a community or even at work, okay, and they make sure that they live close to each other, and then this person person, let's say, takes care of the children, let's say a group of 5 friends, and one person is always off Saturday, Sunday, so all the kids will go there during Saturday, Sunday, and another person is usually off during Thursday, Wednesday. So you guys will just plan based on your schedules and then plan who takes the kids to school on Mondays, who takes the kids to school. So it can be quite tedious, okay, because first of all, you're not so sure if the person is actually taking good care of your kids. That's the con. And then some people also are generally not good with making plans. Like they would say that they'll take care of your kids on Wednesday comes, and then let's say they give an excuse, okay, but it works for most people. It works if you have trusted friends. If you have trusted friends that you can share, I think that's one of the best options. So you divide. But the con about this is that means you can't do a lot of work. You have to stay home to take care of the rest of the kids when it's your turn to do so. You understand? So it's not like you can work Monday to Saturday or Monday to Friday. There are days that you definitely need to be off as per the arrangement and take care of the other people's kids. Do your part. You understand? And there are instances where people have actually planned this before they came to the UK. They got here and one person actually changed their mind, or they get here and something happens. So it can be some way, okay? So, but that's it. Church, community, or friends at work. So that's another part. And there's this other option that a friend of mine is using at work. She's an agency carer. She's a Filipina. She has made her husband stay home. The husband is now a stay-at-home dad, and she is working. So why she decided this is because the husband's profession back from the Philippines here is not that lucrative. She's going to be getting like the minimum wage, like let's say £9 an hour, and she is an agency nurse who can make as much as £30 per hour or £28 per hour. So she feels that she's going to do the hard work and bring home a lot of money. Then the husband will be the stay-at-home dad, help the kids with homework, you know, freshen them up, get them ready for school, pick them up from school, and she will just go because she feels like if I say go to work, at the end of the day, I even bring in £9 per hour. But let me rather go because my job pays better. So let me rather go make all the money and then come. And this is quite popular, especially in America. Okay, most people that are married to partners that are doing very, very lucrative jobs, one becomes a stay-at-home parent until the children are able to take care of themselves. But the negative part of this is that let's say the children are of age and then you're going to apply for a job. You have to explain that long absence or that long period where you were off work, and it's a big turn off for most employers. But another good thing is that these days there are so many work from home jobs that you can also do. So one partner can decide to do a work from home job where they are just replying emails and sending stuff or receiving calls, and then the other one goes to work. So that's another option. Okay, so that's the third option under the family and friends. Another thing is, as immigrants, you can actually invite friends over. Like for instance, when I got pregnant, at a point I invited my little sister over. I have a video that I'm doing on how to invite family and friends over. So she was here for a couple of months until the cold sacked her. She wanted to go back to Ghana. So she was here, she was helped me with the baby for a while, and then she had to go back. So if you have a mother or you know, an auntie or a cousin or whatever, you can actually, when you have a tier 2 visa, you can actually send them an invitation to come over and then help you. But the thing is, there are lots of things that goes with sending them an invitation, and if you don't do it right, they can actually be refused. Another thing is that when they come, they are only allowed on a visit visa to spend like, let's say, maximum of 6 months, but people usually say at most let them spend like 5 months so that when they go and they are reapplying, they will get the visa again. But generally, if you are not a citizen of the UK, you're not a resident in the UK, you cannot spend more days in the UK than you spent in your original country. So let's say they come and then they spend 5 months, okay, and then they go back and then they come again, they reapply and then they get the visa and then they come and spend another 5 months. The likelihood of them being denied the third time they're applying is very, very high, because the immigration officer is going to say that you actually spent 10 months in the UK out of the 12 months in a year. You actually spent more days in the UK. That's not what they want. They want you to actually spend more days in your country of residence than in the UK if you are a visitor. So that can also be challenging. If let's say your child is 3 years old, she goes, she comes back, she goes, she comes back. You still need somebody to take care of the child until they are like 13 or until they are like 15. So are you going to do that for 15 years? So that's another thing. That one is not really realistic. It also can be an issue. You can also send the kids on when they are on vacation back to their country so that you can work hard. Okay, it could be vacation for them and it could be a way for them to bond with their family back home as well. So that's another option. So those are the 4 main childcare options available: nanny, living carers, a childminder, and then using yourself or your family and your friends. Under the family and friends, we have shared arrangements with friends and family. We have inviting friends or family over from back home, and then we have one parent being a stay-at-home parent, and then we have, you know, rotating your schedule with your partner. If you're a single parent, your best option is either using a childminder, a nanny, or a living carer if you can afford, and then maybe shared childcare arrangements with friends and family in your church or in your community or in your workplace. So other options include the day nurseries, right, where if you have like a 6 weeks old to like a 5-year-old, you can send your child there. But the problem is they only run from like 8 a.m. to like 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. and you're going to pay around £137 per week per child. £137 per week per child. That's if your child is spending, let's say, 25 hours a week there. If your child is going to spend like 50 hours there, you're looking at maybe double that amount, okay? And we also have like the Sure Start. My son goes to Sure Start like once or twice a week, and he usually spends like an hour or two there. But for my Sure Start, I have to be present during the session. Some Sure Starts allow you to leave your child there for like the duration, maybe an hour or two. But for the Sure Start that I attend, you'd have to be there. So we go there, they stimulate them a bit, he plays with the other kids, and then I come back home. But the whole time I am there. You can find Sure Starts near you online. Just type Sure Start centers near you. And what I love about Sure Starts is that they also educate you, the parents as well, on how you can, you know, stimulate your kids, you know, to make them intelligent babies in the future, being a good parent and all that. They also train you, the parents as well. Initially, I think Sure Start was started for children in underprivileged families or communities. So they also offer financial support to families as well. Although now they are like everywhere, they're like everywhere in the UK, but they still do offer the support. I have been offered money from my Sure Start so many times, but my husband says we shouldn't take it. They offer us money for gas, they offer us money for heating oil, and then we always say we are good, thank you, we are good, thank you, but they keep offering. So Sure Start is a good option. But the problem with Sure Start is that, like I said, you have to be there sometimes, and it's not every day, it's sometimes specific days in a week. But if your Sure Start allows you to let's say leave your child there for an hour or two, you can quickly use that to cook, quickly use that to run to the shop or to do a few things, yes, as well. And we also have like the play groups or the preschool. That is also not like the best, because it can be free sometimes for some communities, and you also be paying sometimes around £5 to £10 for every 3-hour session. So it's like a preschool, okay? So it's also not really something you can rely on for like a longer term. So like I said, if you're a single parent, your best option is using a childminder, which is a bit cheaper than the other childcare options, or using the shared childcare arrangement options with friends in your community or your church or your workplace, okay, where you take turns in taking care of each person's child or the children. Or you can invite family and friends over to take care of your child for, let's say, a few months. They go back, you use the shared childcare option, then you invite somebody later, or just let your child go to a childminder. If you are a family, you can either rotate your schedules in such a way that there's always somebody home to take care of the child, or one parent to be like a stay-at-home parent, or you can use a childminder, or you can use a nanny or a living au pair if you can afford. Or if you have older siblings, you can leave older siblings, like let's say 16-year-old, they can take care of the child, but not overnight, and only if you are sure that they are matured enough to do so. So these are the options, okay? If you are watching me, let me know the kind of childcare option that you use in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you got value from this, just a value from this. Please subscribe. Subscription is free. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can